All right? Come on in. If you're the last person in, I will get you to do the talk. And believe me, you don't want to try and do my demos without practicing them first. Yeah, hi. Hello. Sit down, come on. All right, we will try again. Hello. Great. I have got a really funny sound engineer guy. He has got to kind of keep my mute and buttons up and around. So if I bounce out every so often, it's because he's really taking the piss out of me. This is a security tester's toolbox. So I did a quick poll to ask who was at my last talk. I'm going to do it again just to make sure. People at my last talk? Quite a few people. This won't be as funny as the last one. If you're expecting big things, I'm sorry. I gave everything on the first one. All right? I've only had 4 glasses of apple juice, so the sugar is just about to kick in about 5 minutes. And then we get going again. This is a level 300 to 400 talk. I expect you to have a little bit of knowledge about command lines, not be scared by black screens. Don't get worried about the Irishman trying to hack your Wi-Fi in the front and other sorts of crazy things. Now, this, as I said, is a level 300, 400 talk. It's on network and computer security. It's about how to do crazy things. This is me. If you want to tweet me, you can get me at @nmerrigan. I'm at niall@merrigan.no. My company, Capgemini, has been very generous in allowing me to travel around the world and scare the living bejesus out of people on a regular basis. So I'd like to say thanks to them. And I'd like to say thanks to ABB for having me back down, even after the chaos I caused here in 2014. Now, yeah. So why am I going to show you how to hack networks? Why am I going to show you how to break into computers? Why am I going to show you kind of how to write malware, generally piss off your neighbors who are playing dodgy music at 3 o'clock in the morning by nuking their Wi-Fi from orbit, and different other things like that? It's because I believe you can only fight the way you practice. Okay? This is from Yamato Musashi. He's a 16th century dude from Japan. I couldn't think of the word samurai, so sorry. Dude came into my mind, okay? He's not a dudette, even though with the man bun we're like, a little bit weird. Anyway, the thing what he said was, people who want to fight, people who want to learn how to fight, need to kind of practice with real fighters. You don't go up there and you punch against a dummy and you go, man, I am awesome. He doesn't hit back. He can't even land a blow. Versus come up against some of the Polish drivers and how they drive, etc. And that's how I'm wondering, did you guys learn to drive in Mario Kart? Now, I explained this at the start of my other talk. I was on a roundabout, and we're coming in at 11 o'clock at night into Krakow, and there's this nice gentleman who's picked me up, and he flies through the roundabout, and there's another guy flying through the other way. And I'm like going, it was like Top Gun, like he was here, I was here, and I was, ah! So, and there's speed limits here that I've not seen before. I don't think you guys have either seen them as well, because you just fly past them. I made this joke in 2014, it got the same result, it was epic. So it means all of you are new. But anyway, to get back to my points, because I've gone a little bit off topic, I want to show you what the offensive tools that people are going to be using against your systems so you can understand the type of crap that will be thrown at your applications. And why certain kind of attacks happen because, people are doing stupid things. They've forgotten different points in the security matrix. They haven't figured out how to work out a threat vector. Like, I always ask this question. Security is hard, because you have to think like someone's going to break your system. So, general show of hands. How many of devs are here? All developers. A lot of developers. If you're a PM, put up your hand anyway, because it makes it I won't pick on you then. So developers, you don't really test your applications. I will say that because it's something I have created, okay? If it's a kind of a calculator system, 1 + 1 gives me back 2, system works. Okay? If I get 1 × 1 = 1, system works. But are you going to type in ABC × G and see does it break? Yeah, because no one would do that. I would do that. My son would do that because he doesn't know any better. But people will try and break your systems by putting in inputs that you may not have expected. Now, this is a common scenario. And whose phone's ringing? What I want to try and show you is how we do a type of penetration test. So I'm going to show you different types of strategy. So what you've got is you start off with reconnaissance. It's where we look and observe at what you are doing, okay? So how many of you watch what's happening in the world around you. Okay, a lot of you say you do. Good. Excellent. What is the person beside you wearing? Everyone's looking around going, what the hell is a person beside me? No, seriously. I observe. I watch how people walk. I look at how they interact on their phones. I watch on airplanes the number of businessmen who open up their laptop, start typing like on Excel and doing crazy stuff. And I'm sitting there with my phone just doing this. Honestly, I'm not recording you, I swear. But I could be. And people are, once they're in their bubble of this little area, they ignore their security. They don't care. They don't know how much information they're leaking. Facebook, LinkedIn, Foursquare, all these different social media platforms give me so much information about you. And then I will show you what you can do with that, where you can use social engineering and these types of attacks. But I will also show you, once you've got reconnaissance and once you've learned on what the type of systems you're going to be attacking, how to find exploits and vulnerabilities in them. Because the web is a wonderful place. It always supplies good things to you, if you know where to look. Now, we will then look at exploitation, where we will attack systems and show you how we got into them, and then we'll look at post-exploitation, as in what happens when I've got into a system. Now, I like to give on this talk, always, that this is a serious topic, all right? What I'm going to show you today can get you arrested if you are going to do it on systems you don't own. Do not attack or go after systems you do not have permission to attack or penetrate or don't own, because people get a bit snippy about it, okay? Let's take another scenario about the house. Everyone has seen a house, right? Okay? It's like a box, cardboard, but bigger, right? Has windows, doors, things. Anyway, if you saw an open house, as a house, doors open, would you wander in? And there's a couple of people going, maybe. Depends what's inside. Might have a look. There could be tea and biscuits. If there's tea and biscuits, you're allowed. But if there isn't, okay? So seriously, don't go to the judge. Seriously, an Irish guy said I could break into this computer system if I found tea and biscuits. You know? But don't do that, because that's the kind of moral and ethical judgment you need to make. If you have permission to go attack a system, sure. If you find a system online that is vulnerable, don't go off and destroy and get out the database and then go, You go back to the owners and say, listen, I think you probably have a bug or a security problem here. Here's what I found. Here's how I found it. Here's the IPs I came from. Here's my responsible disclosure. I'm letting you fix this. Okay? Most companies will be okay with that. Some will get pissy. And if they do, that's their problem. Okay? I want you to understand that people sometimes get very upset when you break their systems unintentionally, especially if they think they're God, all right? Or really good programmers, I don't know. Anyway, here's what I'm going to show you today. We are going to take a look at Kali Linux. Any of you heard of Kali before? A couple of people, cool. Don't spoil the surprise for everyone else. Kali Linux is a Debian distro. It is built from the ground up to be a complete and utter arsenal of tools to play with. It has a mountain of different things involved. You can download it for free from kalilinux.org, and it comes in VMs, or you can build your own. If you download the VM, you can get yourself up and running in about 5 minutes. You can just get the torrent of it, download it, unzip it, and you're up and running. Now, on top of that, what I'm going to show you is Nmap. So that's the network mapper program. How many of you have connected to the Wi-Fi here today? How many of you are using VPNs? There's a couple of people smart enough. How many of you think you've connected to the Wi-Fi here today? Or the one that belongs to here? Secret laugh. There'll be more about that later. But what I usually do is when I connect to Wi-Fi, and you know where it says, do you want to share your device? You ever get that? It says, do you want to share your device to show about TVs and other things? And you automatically click no on Windows. I fire up Nmap and I see what else is running around in the network. It shows me a list of different devices, who's listening on what port, what ports are open, and potentially who I need to kick off the network so I can watch Netflix in peace. Okay? On hotel Wi-Fi, you find this quite a lot. People will have no segregation. I found a cash register attached to the guest network. I have no idea why it was there, or if it was just someone in the next room trolling me. But people do this because it works, it's fine. I'm going to show you Metasploit. Metasploit is a toolbox for exploiting applications, and it comes loaded with different tools. So you can do remote exploits of different applications, be it like, for example, PostgreSQL, FTP servers, general, any type of thing you want to attack. It is the granddaddy of all the tools out there. It is considered one of the most well-respected, well-known. There's Beef, which is a browser exploitation framework, if we get a chance, which is an XSS injectable piece of JavaScript, which allows you to take over a browser. Meaning I can inject like new JavaScript panes, I can put in different types of other solutions, or I can do crazy other things for you. And the last one I'm going to show you is Veil Framework. Veil is a antivirus avoidance toolkit. So in plain English, it allows you to hide your malware somewhere in a program and deliver it to a user, and they'll double-click it, and you'll get, boom, and own their machine. Now, it also comes with like Veil Catapult, which is for launching your application at somebody. You've got Veil Pillage, which is post-exploitation, and there's PowerShell tools. So how many of you use PowerShell or know how to use it? How many of you think it's good? Quite a few people. Not as many as who use it, but still more than 2. How many of you are system administrators? Nobody. Good. Here's the cool thing with PowerShell. PowerShell allows you about 16 different ways to bypass UAC. Okay? Now, how many of you have ever got a program where you double-clicked it and it said, sorry, due to group policy, you can't run this file? And how many went, oh, that really sucks? Do you want to know how to avoid that? Ready? Cool thing. Zip the file. I kid you not. Zip the file, open up in like, for example, Windows Explorer, double-click the zip file, double-click the file inside in it, and it'll run. You're laughing at me. I tell you, that's how I got Putty to run one day, because it was blocked. It's done this because the signature tells you that you shouldn't be allowed to run this. However, it's loaded into memory. PowerShell allows you to do, for example, a download string and run it as a program in memory. Okay, so you can just download string, download a piece of code, get it to run in RAM, and then your program's running, and all of a sudden you've got some antivirus tool avoidance, or you're kind of like running your favorite. I wouldn't try running like Doom. Well, you could actually Doom, because you can run it on a printer now. You could probably run Doom through PowerShell on your home machine, on a computer if you owned it. And that's a good point. Now, before we start again, one last thing. I like cats. I always reiterate this because, you know, some people are usually asleep for the first 5 minutes of my talk. Don't do this at home. Or sorry, don't do this in public. Do this at home. Okay? Some people are understanding the joke I've just made. Other of you are very innocent. I like it. Quiet you in the front. So what I'd like you to do is, if you want to practice this at home, build your own home network, fire it up into the cloud, whatever you want to do, just make sure you're not doing it against systems that you don't own or have permission to test. If you want to test this against your own systems at work, fire up Kali inside in your LAN, make sure it doesn't have network or internet access to get out, and just start playing with it. Right. That is the end of the presentation. Now we start the demos. We pray to the demo gods. We hope everything works. Just 1 second while I reset the screens. Windows key and P. And we go to duplicate. Right. Okay. Right. Now, this is where you start. The common vulnerabilities and exposures database. It hasn't loaded fully, but it doesn't matter. This is where vulnerabilities and different things come to where they are given birth. So when a system has got a CVE number, i.e. it has been identified as a vulnerability, it gets this kind of like CVE year number dash number. In 2015, they changed it from how they were reporting it so that it would be CVE dash year 2015 dash a 4-digit number, okay? And when they did that, they discovered a really horrible trend. They had about 7,600 vulnerabilities reported in 2015. 7,459 of those were Flash. Oh, come on. It's Flash, man. You can't, I suppose, like kicking a dog. Anyway, that's so bad. But anyway, the idea was that Java Flash accounted for a lot of the different vulnerabilities that were out there. Now, as vulnerabilities are reported, you get these numbers put up, and then you get to they give you an explanation about it. So if we look here at this CVE 2015-003, so it was the third one that was reported in 2015, and it was fixed in MS15-010, and it's called the Win32k.sys something something Win32k elevation of privilege vulnerability. Meaning that I could elevate myself to administrator from a normal account. I could break out of process boundaries. The problem is it really doesn't tell you a lot about the system or the problem here. So we go to the National Vulnerability Database. And here we can see the vulnerability summary for that CVE. And you can see here the base score was 6.9, meaning medium. The vector, different ways, but it had an impact subscore of 10, meaning very, 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 very bad. It had an exploitability, managed to pronounce that right, a subscore of 3.4. How 10 multiplied by 3.4 gives you 6.9 is probably some type of German math. Anyway, the idea, it's very efficient, you just won't understand it. What they did then was, what they said the access vector was locally exploitable, victim must voluntarily interact with the attack mechanism. Do you know what that means in regular English? Person must double-click on the file. Okay? Why they couldn't say that, I don't know. It probably means because they're American, who knows? But anyway, you're then thinking, well, that's great, Niall. You just told me how to find a CVE. Where can I exploit it? Well, I'm glad you asked, Johnny. You have to go to the exploit database, which is supplied very much by the guys called Offensive Security. And you can go and look for different exploits depending on your kind of taste. You have remote exploits here. You have web application exploits. One of the things I like to show for web application exploits, if you type in SQL injection, it comes up with so many. Unbelievable. The SQL injection is still an issue for this. And predominantly in PHP. You know, pretty horrible programming. Oh crap, we're recorded. I've one guy sobbing into his long hair. Anyway, we have local privilege exploits, and we have also got denial of service attacks and archive shellcode. Still haven't shown you what you need to find. Well, if you go here is the source code for exploiting that vulnerability. So you can build it into your application if you so want. And then say, so it is fully ready and weaponized here, okay? At this point, I've just shown you a process of finding a CVE, finding a vulnerability, finding the exploit, and then you're there going, I have a vulnerability, I have an exploit, I have nothing to exploit. Calm down, we're getting to it. You go to Showdown. And Showdown is a search engine for the Internet of Things. If you saw my previous talk where I took you on a tour of Showdown, this is a bit more interesting types of ways. What you can find here is the different kind of application servers I want to attack. So for example, let's look at IIS-6 in Poland. There is currently 669 of these IIS-6 boxes in Poland that you can attack. Now, if you're familiar with IIS-6, what operating system does it run on? Windows, that's good, well done. Come on, let's try a bit more kind of on the ball here, kids. XP, no, it doesn't. IIS-6 is not running on XP. Come on. 2003, well done. Yay, good man. Someone knows their Windows versions. 2003, when did 2003 become end of life? Last year, about a couple of years ago, yeah? So this means it's not getting regular security patches, which also probably means that the IT guys haven't figured out that it's still there. They just have this box that's in the corner, chugging away, sucking in dirt and throwing out more fan stuff. And it's, I really tried not to swear there. And it's there, and they're going, I don't know what happens if we turn it off. You know, the boss's wife's email fails. I have no idea what happens, right? Okay? But these things are still running. And IIS-6 is quite vulnerable at this stage. It's not like we're at, what, IIS-10 now? So it really is a problem. You can also go looking for things like this. This is, I really had to, if I can hopefully find it. This is the only time I'm laughing a lot, right? So I went looking for open webcams and things in Poland. You're the only country with a church. Even Ireland doesn't have that. For shame. Ireland. Anyway, so you can go looking for crazy things like that, and you can go trying to find exploits on that. Now, say you're kind of going, well, Niall, I really don't want to have to do local vulnerability exploitation. I want to find SQL-iable sites. And I say, great, very much. You go to Punkspider. Punkspider is a vulnerability search engine, which is very cool. Geez, even I can see that. Let's try a bit better. Whoa. That's like serious size font. This one, I just had a quick look. What I went up and did was I wanted to find all the SQL-iable and XSS sites that are indexed in the .pl domain. Okay? I went looking for Polish. So I found one, and I found this one called ferrometal.com.pl. So I clicked on it because it generates a link for you. So because if you can't figure out how to write XSS, it just says, well, here you go. I clicked on this, and if we look here, I'm hoping this goes, the XSS auditor refused to execute a script in this because was enabled because the source code was found within the request, i.e., this is XSSable. Bad website. Bad. Now, the thing also is this has SQLi, because probably they've written this, they haven't looked at it, and they don't realize that there's a vulnerability. I'm sorry to the company, but this is a very simple thing where, thankfully, Chrome is protecting against most of this, and most browsers will fix this without you having to do any work. Now, that is just an example of how to find a website with that type of work. You can also then, if you're still trying to figure out XSS as how it works, you go to the Open Bug Bounty. These are guys, what they do is they get paid money to go find different vulnerabilities around the web. So they look for XSS vulnerabilities. They try and they talk to the company. The company pays them a bug bounty, anything between 5,000 and whatever, and they make money from it. So you can see here, like one guy, nomerorg.net, was patched in 1 minute. Now, the thing is, there's still things like, for example, Facebook and LinkedIn getting pwned on this on a regular basis. They're still finding XSS in it. There's a guy on Twitter called Brute Logic. He's a Brazilian security researcher. Absolutely insane when it comes to XSS. What he has found is just nuts. Now, when I was up in Oslo, we did a security seminar, and we did a thing with Slido, and we found a guy just was in the audience. He went through the XSS cheat sheet. He got to number 17 and managed to XSS Slido while we were presenting, which is pretty cool. It was very much like the gentleman before me, where he did a talk and someone figured out that the Bluetooth was open and managed to make his robot dance, which was pretty cool. If you watch the video afterwards, it really kind of summed up my day. I was talking to the sound guy. He said that what had happened was that the mixer he had bought came with a Wi-Fi point in it, and it could be controlled over Android. Sounds cool. IoT, great. It's like someone forgot to put a little thing called authentication in it. Tiny problem. Now, look around the room, right? There's a lot of IT people here, okay? You're fairly technically savvy. If you discovered an open access point that was linked to the mixer, what would you do? Honestly, I'd be doing it and I'd be on stage going, woohoo! So, yes. Anyway, that's XSS, that's finding it. Let's look at something else. Let's go and find, these are kind of if you just want to use websites. We haven't gone into Kali yet, but let's have a look at Kali. So this is Kali Linux. I've just downloaded the, whoops, thank you. I will tell you in a second. This is Kali. Kali, as we can see, is a Linux distribution, hence the black screen. That is not DOS, right? You know you can run Linux on Windows now, which then can run Wine, which can run Windows, which can Inception. So, right, what we have here is an amazing amount of tools. So we have, for example, information gathering, such as DNS analysis, IDS, which is intrusion detection identification, live host identification, vulnerability analysis, web application analysis, which gives you things like CMS frameworks, web application. And the list goes on all the way to 14. Now, it's probably 13 here. Social engineering tools, my favorite. It's got the social engineering toolkit. Absolutely amazing. Great for getting your mother to give you money at Christmas. You just claim to be a Nigerian prince and she sends you money. Honestly, I think that's what happened. One guy really wanted money for his birthday, and he just said, I'd send it to mom and I'd send it to everyone. Anyway, so what I'm going to show you now is we'll start by doing Wi-Fi. So, you can all see this giant aerial thing here, right? It's attached to a green alpha network card. That network card is about $20. What Wi-Fi usually does, your device listens for a network point that's shouting its name, okay? Like Dev Day here today. It's going, da, 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 da. Your device scans, it finds that, and then it will connect to it. That is normal Wi-Fi interaction. But now we have a thing called monitor mode. Monitor mode is when your device only looks around and sees the different traffic that's going over the invisible webs around you. There's like, imagine there's little Wi-Fi beams going that way and that way and that way, and maybe behind me as well. But what we're going to do is show you what this really looks like. So we're going to use a specific adapter that is capable of going into monitor mode and supports packet injection. And to do this, we use a thing called airmon. And we just type in check kill. Can you all see that? Even the blind people at the back? Good. Sorry. Anyway, so we're going to kill that, and then we're going to do airmon ng start WLAN 0. Okay? So this will turn my device now into a monitor. So we're now in station mode as VIF has been disabled, and it has been put into monitor mode for this. So if we do aero dump, let's just do this, aero dump ng minus I WLAN 0 mon. Okay? I can now start hopefully seeing, this never works. It worked about 2 seconds ago. Demos, bastards. Anyway, what this would normally show you, if it was working, because it was working outside, I swear, would show you the different SSIDs that are running, are being looked at around the different network points here. Now, if you have a mobile phone right now, and you want to take it out, you might find a lot of different network points around this area that don't normally exist here. Okay? This is a device known as a Wi-Fi pineapple. Ever heard of one? One or two people. Everyone know what a pineapple is? Everyone know what Wi-Fi is? What's not to get? A Wi-Fi pineapple is a rogue access point. Okay? By rogue, it means bold. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Normally what happens, you give your Wi-Fi point a nice name, something that's easy to remember, correct? And then you have a password on it and you connect to it. My device listens for all the different things that you could be showing, or sorry, could be asking for, and says, yes, I'm that. Okay? So your device goes, is airport here? And it goes, yes. Is Larry's Chicago coffee here? Yes. And, you know, all these different things, and they get broadcast to this tiny little device just here, which is inconspicuous in the fact that it's like blue with flashing lights and 4 giant aerials. It's meant to be this way, but it's dead. So, listen, when I tell my son that joke, he cracks up, but he's 4. He goes, Papa, why is the router dead? I was like, it's not dead. It's like, well, it's got 4 legs in the air. I'm like, well, I suppose, yeah. It's sleeping, son. Ignore it. So, sorry. I just pulled off a dad joke in the middle of a tech talk. Sorry. Anyway, so what will happen is this thing starts broadcasting. Now, the new features in iOS, was it 8, where they wouldn't broadcast the SSIDs you were looking for, it would only listen for the SSIDs that it knew, meant that we had to implement a new feature called PineAP. PineAP takes a list of SSIDs and starts broadcasting those. And all of a sudden, you'll start finding people connecting because their devices will automatically connect. So if I was to ask you, what is the most common Wi-Fi name in Krakow? Excuse me? Default. What would it be? Okay, let's try it a different way. How many of you use 4G on a regular basis and don't care about Wi-Fi if you're traveling around here? Okay, now imagine you're a foreigner. What is the first Wi-Fi point we pick up? Airport, thank you. As the first Wi-Fi point. So if you have that broadcasting, more than likely people's devices will connect to you very easily. And if you're wondering how to find out what the different SSIDs around different location are, go to wiggle.net. It will give you a list of all the SSIDs. You can probably find your home one. And it's GPSed. So you just get a top 1,000 list, which includes things like Linksys, Netgear, and different things like that, and it will broadcast all those. That is one way to get people to connect to your Wi-Fi correct? What happens when I'm sitting between you and the internet? Do you know? Sorry, do I have control? Yes, I do. Am I in control? Not so much. What I can do is I can change what you see. So everyone's familiar with the concept of DNS, right? Okay, so you're probably familiar with 8.8.8.8.8, right? If I had I think which was 88.88.88.88, okay, for example, and had a DNS server that was listening on that, and you went to some bank like mbank.pl, and it sent you to a really good-looking copy of mbank.pl, you could just sniff someone's details. You could change whatever they want. If they were going to Facebook, you could make a different version of Facebook. Book of Face. You know, and I guarantee you people will put their information in there. The other thing is I can put a captive portal on that. So 15 minutes. A captive portal means where your device goes, you want to connect to the internet, you've got to supply some details to me, okay? So I put a captive portal in that, and I say, please log in with your social media provider. Twitter, Gmail, Hotmail, whatever you want to put in, no problem. People will put it in because, to be honest, they value the internet more than they value your credentials. To them, it's next to being on air. Now, I will turn it off in a half an hour. I like Wi-Fi. What you would normally do at this point, once you start getting people on your network, you're in the same network as people, you start using Nmap. And Nmap allows you to find different devices that are connected on the network with you. So I just did an Nmap scan before we started, and I said, okay, let me find all the different devices I have here. So if I scroll over here, I've got .2, which is my gateway. I've got 128, which I know is my Kali box. 129 is Metasploitable, which is a free OS that you can download that is fully vulnerable and unpatched and great to play with. And there's a Windows 10 box, okay? So I can see what's running here. If I go to the host details, you can see it's Windows and it's wide open. I honestly don't know why they do that, but that's the kind of logo they have for Nmap. All right? Okay. So this Kali Linux box is very much a vault. This thing's a bomb, as in you can just go poof and it'll blow up. Anyway, what we're going to do now, once we've figured out that, is we're going to try and exploit it, okay? So I'm going to bring up a thing called Metasploit. So I'm going to do a thing called MSF console, all right? While that's booting up, I'm going to show you Metasploitable. Let's do this, hopefully. So this is Metasploitable. So as you can see here, it warns you, never expose this VM to an untrusted network. What will happen is if this is found on your network, because it is so open, people will use it as a pivot point to get somewhere else. Once they break into this, they can leave it as a reverse tunnel, meaning that I have got permanent access to your network. So don't ever have this on your network unless you like bad things. Now, this is MSF console. What I want you to do here is I want to exploit, I want to take over the Metasploitable box. To do that, I need to use a particular exploit, okay? And I think it's under Unix, and I think it's under FTP, and I think it's under, let's see, is it VSFTPD? Now, I've skipped a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Let's go back a small bit. When I looked here at Nmap, and I looked at the different ports and output, I noticed here it has VSFTPD 2.3.4. Now, it's a very specific version of VSFTPD because for 3 days, there was a backdoor introduced into it, okay, from the download. And once that was introduced, it became very easy to exploit that particular service. So here, if I do kind of thing called help, I think it is, maybe show options. So here I can see, yeah. So here I'm going to do and say what I want to do here is I want to take over the Metasploitable box, okay? To do that, I need to set the remote host. So that's set or host, okay? 192.168.128.129, okay? With me so far? I've told it what IP to attack. It's like a ping, except much vicious. And I click, if you want to giggle, okay, two YouTube videos to watch when you're drunk and you think you're not smart, all right? Watch a guy doing ping to DDoS a site, okay? It's really funny. And another guy doing tracer T, okay? Just Google those. It's really good because the guy, he's a bit young. He's trying to figure out the trace route as in how to find out where the packets are going, and he calls it tracer T, and it's really kind of interesting. But anyway, if we do exploit, what this will do is this will query the system. It will say, I want to throw this exploit at it. It has found a shell now, and I now have a remote shell on Metasploitable. Okay? So if I do, who am I? Root. Okay? uname -a. Linux Metasploitable 2. So that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm sitting on the Metasploitable box as root. Everyone know what root is? There's one person nodding no. Okay? Root is the God administrator of a Linux system. If you have that, you're owned. We have everything. Now, I can just say, that's fine, that looks great. It's not very impressive. For demo purposes, what I want to do is show you a thing called Armitage. And Armitage is here. Armitage is a wrapper around Nmap and Metasploitable, and it has a nice, cool GUI. Now, this is where we start getting into the CSI cyber level of attacks. Because watch. Remember we had 128.9, right? So I've got a thing called attack, and I can do FTP. All right? And I can do 2.3.4 backdoor. And I just click launch. Yeah, it's CSI Cyber, man. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's about to get boom. The backdoor band is already listening. What? The port? No, you twat. 1 second. Quit. Sorry. Let's try that again. Sorry, that was a CSI Cyber take 2. Launch. Please specify a password. Huh? Come on. Attack, FTP. This is definitely CSI Cyber. For demo gods, you don't like me. Oh, fine. Normally what would happen in this case is you get a red lightning around it. Okay, let's try something different. Let's do something a bit more. Fine, Hail Mary. Once started, the Hail Mary will launch a flood of exploits at the host in the current workspace. Yes. Now, I dare you find a shell in that. This is what happens when hackers get pissed. It's like, oh, look, my lovely little tickle of the device doesn't work. Fine, here's a bowling ball. Now, we wait a while. We see how long this takes. So this is the Hail Mary. Does everyone understand what a Hail Mary is? It's when you throw the ball and hope someone will catch it. Okay? This would be like me throwing that bottle of water and hoping to get the guy really far back at the end who's asleep and popping him on the head. So now this is starting to send every single attack it has at this box. So I really don't know what it's going to do. Hopefully, I'm going to maybe stop this. Oh boy. Do I have a shell yet? I guarantee you we'll get a shell in a minute and we'll just do something crazy. Anyway, I'll let that and it'll pop up and it'll give me red lightning and all the stuff, but that's fine. But what we're going to do now is I've got 8 minutes left and I want to see if we can make something a bit more interesting happen. So everyone's familiar with SSL, right? HTTPS. What is HTTP bad at? Encrypting traffic, right? It's a plain text protocol. Okay, everyone's familiar with that. You shouldn't send usernames and passwords over HTTP, correct? All right. Did anyone say you should? If you did, my consulting rates are very good. Okay? What I want to show you is that HTTPS can be downgraded. You can break it. So what I want to try and do here is with Windows 10. So is everyone familiar with the concept of ARP? Address Routing Protocol. Address Routing Protocol means you translate where the IP address and what MAC address it conforms to. Okay? So it's that link to find out when an IP address of, say, .1 is linked to a specific MAC address. And a MAC address, as we know, is a set of octets that identifies the network address card. So if I do thing here on Windows 10 and do ARP -a, I can see here that 128.2 is my gateway, is pointing to 0576. Okay? You can all see that? Right. Excuse me. Then you can see my Kali box is sitting at 0B61. All right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do what is known as an ARP poison. I will send a request to the Windows 10 box to tell it to update its ARP protocol or ARP table to say that the gateway is now my Kali box. And I become the man in the middle between it and the gateway. Okay? So what I want to do that, I go back over here and I quit out of this and I go cd Kali demo cd and I just do, I have a thing here called maninthemiddle.sh. I bet you I have to restart the interface. Sorry, 1 second. cd evil Wi-Fi. Never ask why a person has an evil Wi-Fi folder on their network card. Restart networking. Okay. Now, cd demos and maninthemiddle.sh. Now, this is called the Man in the Middle framework. It's written by an Italian researcher called Bytebleeder. And 5 minutes, good. And what this will allow me to do is do an ARP spoof, ARP poison. So, and then I'm going to do something really interesting. So what I want to show you now is if I do an ARP -A now, all right, let's hopefully it'll work. Do we working? Come on. Did it spoof the right address? Please say you didn't spoof the right address, come on. My demos aren't working today. Why is my demo? Don't tell me because I did an update on Windows 10 it broke my demos. Really strange thing to happen. Let's see if we have it running. See, ARP spoofing, DNS supporting enabled, dark side, da 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 da. Okay. Okay, we're going to bin that, and I'm going to cheat. Because, like all good people, I have this in a video format, just in case stuff like this breaks. Okay, 1 second. Shift F5. Okay, and play. Should we be able to play this? Right. So I've got an FN. Now, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run the exact same demo again. But this time it's going to work. Because I've pre-recorded it. So we'll see here the demo here has the IP address is .2, is pointing to C9, and the Kali box is pointing to D2. Okay? I'm then going to run MITMF framework. And I'll see if I can go a little bit forward in this. Let's see where it is. Okay. And we see that we will, let's see if we can find it. So now we can see here that both the network address, or sorry, the network gateway and the device have the same network MAC address. Okay. I'm now going to run, which in this case I think it was Edge, and I'm going to go to google.com. And when we go up to the top of google.com, you'll notice something a bit interesting. www. Okay? You'll also know it's not running on SSL, which means I now know that I can interfere with your network, right? I can interfere with your browsing history. But what happens if I go over and click on to sign in? Okay? Will I be able to steal your passwords? Probably, because I've now gone to account, as it says here, account.google.com rather than accounts.google.com, and it's over HTTP. All right? Now when I type in my dodgy username and password, what you'll find here is once drunk Niall catches up with sober Niall, all right? If I go back here, I'll be able to find my username and password that I put in here. And that is how you sniff out Gmail passwords if you're on the same network as someone. When they're using a device that doesn't support HSTS, which is likes of IE, or if you're using Chrome, it won't work. Now, I am out of time, which is good for you, good for me. This is where you can find information about all the different tools I've used today and all the different kind of crazy attacks I've had. And I will show some more other demos. If you want to have a chat about this afterwards, come and talk to me. I'll put up my nice Swedish chef to illustrate I want questions. Any questions? Yes, I can just about see you. Sorry, yes, hand. Why am I using Windows? Because I like myself. I'm sorry. If you're going to come down here, what are you using? Oh, then why are you giving me crap for that? Dude, whether you use Windows, whether you use Mac, whether you use whatever, there's a vulnerability in everything. It's whether you're safe about it, okay? I do, yes. Would I use Windows XP? If I was using Windows XP, you could hit me over the head with the laptop, no problem, okay? It's Windows 10, patched to the high hells. Realistically, that machine's turned off all the time. My home machine's Windows 10. I'm very comfortable in what I run with it, and whether, to be honest, I'm comfortable in it. I know what I'm doing. And do I find it secure as any other thing? Yeah, I suppose so. But yes, good question, kind of. Anyone else? Time is over. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Bye-bye.